Hello and welcome. So today we are going to be going over the upgrades for the OPAC and Public Services. My name is Donna and I'm one of the educators here at Bywater, and I'm pleased to have with me today both Kelly and Andrew. Y'all want to say hi?
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So when you reach out to us and need some assistance, odds are you're going to be talking to one of the three of us. So glad to have you here. So some things to remember: the page that you're viewing right now, bywatersolutions.com/Koha Upgrade Training Notes, that is going to be the site that you're going to want to hit for all of the information about our upgrades as we move forward. So right now you can see that we have the webinar schedule up there. We do have some that we've conducted already, so we've got the links to those that you can go ahead and view those, and we'll have the rest of those links up towards the end of this week. This is also going to give you any sort of questions that are raised during our webinars today or during the entire series. We're going to post here so that you can kind of take a look and see what other folks have asked, and we can make sure that we have all that information available to you. Now you have two options today as far as communicating with us during the webinar. There is either the chat or the question and answer, and it's up to you which one you use. Just remember that if you do use the chat, to make sure that you've selected the option for all panelists and attendees. Otherwise, only the panelists are going to see your question and not all the other attendees. So again, you're welcome to use either one of us, either one of those, or anytime you have a question. But just make sure that if you do use the chat, that you go ahead and post it to everybody so we can all see what the questions are. Okay, so when will the upgrades start? That's the question that everyone wants to know. So our upgrades to 1711 will begin in early June, and they're going to continue throughout the month. All the upgrades will start after 8 p.m. local time, and we will make sure that we push a notice to your staff client with your upgrade date the week prior to doing it. So you're not going to be surprised that you come in one day and all of a sudden there's an upgrade. You're going to be aware that this is going to be coming. Probably the most important thing to know is to make sure you clear your cache the morning that you're upgraded. That way you can make sure that everything is wiped out and all the new things are going to be up there and ready to go. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So we are going to start in the public OPAC. And what we're going to do is there's this great new feature where there's an OPAC dashboard for logged in users. So we're going to go ahead and log in. Okay, and so when you have logged into your OPAC, it's going to look familiar to everybody. What you're going to see over here is right over on the right-hand side, we've got this new little dashboard that welcomes the person that's logged in and gives you an update on what's going on with your account. So I can see in a heartbeat, without having to go anywhere farther, that I have 4 items that are checked out, one of which is overdue. Shame on me. I have 2 holds that are pending, and I owe $2.25 in fines and charges. So really quick, easy way for everyone to see exactly what's going on with their accounts. They don't have to go and pull down the whole summary and things like that. So it's really kind of a neat little preference to have that set up there. And that is done through a new system preference called the OPAC User Summary. So really just a neat little feature that you can go ahead and have all that information. And then obviously too, if the patron's not sure what's happening, they can just click on any of these links and it's going to take them straight into their account to that section, and they can see exactly what the information is as far as what they owe for or whatever, and then all your other options are right here also. So kind of a neat little feature to be able to do that. So another one that we're kind of excited about is in the OPAC, when you've searched for an item, there is a new option that we can have the shelving location displayed separately. So when we pull up a book, isn't this great? It used to be that everything was just in italics underneath the home library and the holding library, things like that. So now we've got those so that the shelving location is in its own column. So it makes it a little bit easier for our patrons to be able to see exactly where things are. Makes a little bit more sense too with some of y'all in the way that you use preference is for this one. And it's actually called OPAC Location Detail. So I'm just going to do OPAC Location. Okay, and OPAC Location Detail.
I'm sorry, Donna, there was a moment that we didn't hear you, and I have somebody else confirming that it just wasn't my computer. Can you go back maybe 30 seconds or so?
Okay, sure.
Thanks so much.
Oops, went too far. Okay, so in the staff client area for the OPAC location detail to get those shelving locations in there, we're going to go into System Preferences, and again, it's called OPAC Location Display. So we're just going to go ahead and pull that up. And OPAC Location Detail. So you have the option of below both the home and holding libraries on a separate column, which is how we have it set up right now, below the holding library or below the home library. And so a really neat option to be able to set those. So that's step one, is setting up the system preference. The next part is that we need to go ahead and make the changes to the column settings at administration. Now columns, are going to head all the way down to the bottom here, where we're going to configure columns. Now typically under OPAC, the location is suppressed. It's usually hidden by default. This is what yours is going to look like typically when you log into it. So what you're going to want to do is make sure you come in here after you've set that system preference and uncheck that box so that that does show. Okay, and then we just make sure that we save. And then that way, all of those locations are going to show in separate columns, just like we want them to. So a great little feature that's going to help with a lot of our customers, making it a little bit clearer to be able to do that. So while I'm in there too, I should have shown you a couple of other things under the columns, configure columns. Again, it's an area that I don't think a lot of folks take a look at. But you can do some different configurations, and you can also have some options whether or not it gets sorted by those sorts of things. So you can have any of these that are hidden or added. This is one that I know is people either love it or hate it, is having the item barcode actually on the screen or not. So that's one of those options that you can either show or not show. So you can have some different changes in there, things like that. So just kind of be aware of those sorts of things that you can kind of continue customizing your research, your display. And you can do things like you can hide the home branch or the holding branch. With single locations, sometimes you don't need both the home and the holding. So you can go ahead and hide one of those or the other. Okay. So then we're going to hop back out to our OPAC, and this is something that for multi-system or multi-location libraries, you can choose the RSS feed for system-wide library news. But this one, if you're a single location, instead of saying RSS feed for system-wide when you're the only location, it'll show just RSS feed for your library. So it'll just say, you know, your library name there. So it's not going to show system-wide library news. It's going to show it just for your specific library. So again, a little change, but it's going to be something that's kind of neat, that's going to continue to customize and make sure that your customers don't get a little bit confused. Okay. All right, so we are going to go ahead and talk a little bit about a new security feature with this one, where you now have the option to enforce a strong password policy. Now again, this is a system preference, so it is going to be for everyone, both staff and patrons. And what you can do in this one, again, search System Preferences. Okay. And it's under Patron Preferences, General, Require Strong Password. Now this you can have to either don't require or require. It will be set as the default of don't require. But you do have the option to turn this on. And when you say a strong password, that means it has to contain at least one digit, one lowercase, and one uppercase number, or excuse me, letter. So you're going to have that information in there. Now, this is something that is also going to work in tandem with however you have set up your minimum password length. So if you've said that your minimum password length is 3, then it's going to go ahead and just only still require 3, but that means you're going to have one digit, one lowercase, and one uppercase. So what we're going to do now is let's go ahead and change someone's password. Let's go to patrons. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and edit to change the password. Okay, now you'll notice it does tell me what my minimum length is, but it doesn't tell me that I have that strong password on. So once I go into that field and type anything, it's going to go ahead and pop up in that red text showing me what my password strength has to be. So you need to be aware of that it's not going to show you that beforehand, but once you start typing that in, it is going to show that. And it'll do the same thing when you are adding a new patron. If you start typing in the password, it's going to go ahead and set that also. Same thing on the OPAC side is that if you have allowed customers to go ahead and change their own password, it's not going to show what their password needs to be until they start typing. So we're going to select change your password. And again, all it tells us is that it has to be 3 characters long. And then if I start typing in a new one, then it tells me that it has to include the uppercase, lowercase, and numbers. So just kind of be aware of that. It's a great feature to be able to have that stronger password, but we are going to have to make sure that our customers are aware of this as we start moving forward. Okay. Another neat option is if you have forgotten your password from the patron perspective, you can click on, obviously, forgot your password. And now it just has some clearer options as far as what you need to have in there. So you can either add your login or your email address. Oh, probably because I am editing it in the other section. So let me cancel out of here. Come back in here. Okay.
Donna, does it need you to enter your email address as well?
I didn't think so, but let's see. Okay, well, I've gotten myself down a rabbit hole changing something in here. But what we can tell you is that once you click on the reset link, you will get the message saying that your password has to meet these minimum strengths. So I've obviously changed something in one of my accounts somewhere that's gotten me out of where I need to be with that one. Okay. Another thing that's going to be helpful is when customers do use that forgot your password link, you will get, they will get an email from whatever location they have set as their home branch. So that is another feature that you can choose. If you had it before, it would come from the Koha admin email that you have set up for your library. Now what you can do is you can go ahead and set an email account for each location that you have, and so the patron is going to receive that email from that location, so it's going to make a little bit more sense to them sometimes as far as where that email is coming from and what that is for. So something that we can't demonstrate right now, but that we're really excited about, is that there is now the authentication with Google Authentication. So this is really kind of a neat thing that you can allow a patron to have an account created automatically by doing this. Again, we don't have this set up on ours. We don't have that capability right now. So, but it is something that's kind of a neat feature to be able to do. You know, we're all trying to reduce the number of usernames and passwords and things like that. And so this would be a neat feature to be able to get that all tied in together. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and log or attempt to log back into my account. Okay, so another new feature in the system is that you will now get an alert when you are renewing an item with a rental charge. So perhaps I forgot that there was a fee for a rental for an item that I have. So I can go ahead and see right here that there is a rental fee associated with that item. So it's really neat that customers are not going to be taken by surprise that they can renew that, but there will be a rental fee associated with it. So I'm going to go ahead and click and renew that one item. Okay, and again, tells me that it was renewed and that yes, there was a rental fee associated with that. So neat little feature, again, not taking them by surprise too much. You can also see that my fines have increased by another $2 for that DVD. Another fix that's kind of a neat little addition, I'm not sure how many folks use this, but it's a really great feature to be able to offer to your patrons, is the suspend holds. So for instance, this comes in handy if you either have a very low holds queue and you have a very active patron, or if you have patrons that might be going out of town for a while and they want to suspend their holds so they don't miss out on that latest bestseller. But what you can do now is you have the capability of coming in, picking a date that I want to suspend my holds till, and I just go ahead and click on suspend all holds. It makes sure that I want to, so I say yes. Okay, and now I can see right here that my holds have been suspended until the 16th. There used to be kind of a little bit of a bug in there that it wouldn't work quite as expected. So now that's been fixed. Customers can come in, they can select all their holds, suspend all of them, and then they also have the very easy way to come in, one click, and resume all suspended holds. Now they could also just leave this blank and that would just suspend all their holds indefinitely. So some neat little features there that are just, again, making it a little bit easier for our patrons as we come through and use our systems. Now, this next one is kind of one that I think is only used really more in academics than anywhere else, but the discharge. So what's really kind of cool with the discharge is, you know, at the end of the semester, you're ready to graduate, you need to make sure that you have all your materials returned and all your fines are paid, things like that. So it's kind of a neat way to be able to do that. You can ask for a discharge. So you can just click on this, the customers can come in, click on the tab, and it tells you exactly what the discharge is. It also makes it very clear, though, once you've asked for a discharge, your borrowing privileges are suspended. So we want to make sure our patrons are aware of this, is that, you know, once you've done this, you can't do it. You can also see that they're not going to let me get a discharge because right now I do have items checked out. So once those items are returned, I would be able to ask for a discharge, and it will go through and process it appropriately. So we did have a patron set up in here. Let's see if we can get into her account and ask for a discharge. Okay, so Barbara Jo Smith has nothing checked out, so she is eligible for a discharge. So we're going to go ahead and click on Ask for a Discharge. And it went ahead and processed it. So she knows that she can check back in a couple of days and get that information that she is ready to go, and she can take that piece of paper over to the bursar's office or wherever she needs to go to be able to continue to finish her process of signing out of the school or wherever she might be. Okay, something that I don't think people pay much attention to, but is a kind of a nice little feature, is that there's now the option, or not the option, but it will now display your title on the screen. So you can see right here, it has added my title, Mrs., to that, and it's also up here. So that when you're also so it's not only when the patrons are looking for it, but you can also see that it is here in the staff client also. So again, nice little feature with it. And again, depending on your environment, that might be a very important thing to have available. Remember that these titles are authorized values, so you can add them as you need to. So the salutation is now included as part of this on the summary and on the staff client. And so it's just a nice little feature to be able to share with folks. Okay, so as we keep going, this one we kind of laugh about because we're not quite sure if folks are going to want to have this on or not. So when I create a purchase suggestion, I'm going to go ahead and fill out my form, but what's new is right here, where you can allow patrons to request the number of copies they want of this. So say, for instance, they want Star Wars, they want the original one, and I think that we need to have 10 copies of this. So as a patron, I can go in there and say, you know, we need to have all of these. Now, this could come in handy, again, depending on what's going on with your community. So for instance, if you have a book group or something like that, that could be one of these options that you put in your drop-down menus that they could do that. Or you could just say, you know, whatever the options are, and then you can put a note in here. Again, you have the choice as far as which fields are required. In ours, we did choose to require the notes fields. And we're just going to say, because it was really good. And so again, you do have the option of having that quantity in there. And I said, we need 10 copies of those. I'm going to submit my suggestion. Now, just because I've submitted this does not mean that if the library purchases it, the librarian doesn't have the choice to not buy 10 copies. So you do have that option to be able to, as the librarian, when you're processing it on the other side, to adjust the quantity of them that you want to get. So, okay. Let's see, I don't see any questions. Okay, we're going to keep plugging along then. So lists. So there's some fun things that we can do with lists now. One of my favorites, and it's a little one, but one of my favorites is that lists now have the cover images attached to it, which is kind of a neat feature. It makes it a little bit more interesting. And I see we have a question. Can the quantity field be hidden? Yes, we can. We can hide that for you, absolutely. We've already got the code ready to go because we knew that would be a question that folks would have. So yeah, we can definitely do that, Cambria. So with lists, again, it adds the cover images. So it just makes it a little bit more visually appealing when you're creating lists for the patrons. So another neat feature that goes with lists for it is that you can now add items by using a biblio number. You don't have to have a barcode in order to add an item to a list. So I know you're all immediately jumping to where I went with this one is, oh my goodness, now I can have lists with my e-resources on there. So let's see, Debbie. Will the covers show on the staff side too? So the best option to answer that one for Debbie is sometimes. As it stands right now, the Koche server, which is what we use for our cover images, does not work with the staff client. There is a bug out there to have that fixed, but if you do have something like Amazon lists cover or Amazon covers turned on your staff client, those will show. Okay. So when you're creating a list, all you need to do, so we're going to go ahead and create a new list, and it can be public or private. We're going to call this one e-resources. Okay. Oh. All right, so I'm going to call it my list then, since I didn't like that one. Okay, and so really cool right here to add items. I can add the barcodes if I have them. If not, I can add the biblio numbers. So that's going to be a really neat way that you can go ahead and use both to create a fantastic list with both print materials or barcoded materials and with things that are not necessarily barcoded. So I can see a lot of fun things happening with that one. So for instance, if I add, let's see, 47495, add that item, or excuse me, add that biblio number to the list, and there we go. So again, something that does not have a barcode, but now I've now got that on that list. So it's the little things that make us happy, right? Okay. Let's see. With lists, does sorting by title still include initial articles, or does sorting by title actually use the second indicator? That is a really good question. And it's not one that I have come across before. Kelly or Andrew?
You know, I don't know for certain.
Let's give it a try.
Yeah. So let's see what we have in here. I don't know if there's anything in Plains that's going to do that. Okay, so let's find something real quick that's going to have a leading article.
Donna, I do see that there is still an open bug for that.
Ah, okay, there's our answer then. Thank you, Andrew. Okay, so right now there is still the open bug that it's not going to exclude the A, the ands, and the these. Sorry, John. But it's in the community, so hopefully it won't be too much longer before it's resolved. Okay, we're going to go back to our lists. This one's just kind of one of those that's I don't know, it's a little quirky. So when you are creating a private list and you have the allow changes to contents from, there's the option says anyone seeing this list. So that's a little confusing because if it's private, I'm the only one that can see that list. So does that mean I'm the only one that I can't change that? So basically what this has done is it's just added a warning saying it has no actual effect when the list is strictly private. So just kind of a warning that you can do that, not a big deal, but it's not going to actually do anything. So you might as well just leave it as owner. Okay. So next, we are going to use the self-checkout, which I hope y'all have explored because it's a really neat option to be able to allow your patrons to check out. So you'll see now that it says enter your card number. The wording used to say barcode, which could be kind of confusing. So by using the word card number, pretty much any patron knows what that is as far as being able to enter that information and go ahead and check out their materials. Okay. All right. So now I want to talk about one that I absolutely love. And if you were in any of the webinars last week when we talked about technical services, we covered that in those also. So this one is that you can now have the 776 fields connected in a resource. And so a lot of people can be like, so what does that mean? What that means in public libraries, you can connect two formats or more of an item. So you could have the large print record connected to the regular print record of a book, or you could have the audio book connected to the print copy of the book, things like that. So it's just a really neat way to be able to tie all those things together. Okay. The first thing you have to do, though, is make your 776 fields visible. And that's done through your MARC frameworks. So we're going to walk through that process just in case you haven't done those before. Okay. But here under Catalog, there is the MARC Bibliographic Framework. We're going to go ahead and open that up. And then I'm going to be doing this in books. So I'm going to view the MARC structure. I'm going to go ahead and find that 776 field and edit it. Oh, Heather has pointed out they're excited about the 776 links to online copies of rare books, which is a fantastic way to be able to do that. Fantastic resource. Okay. And I was reading Heather's comment and didn't pay attention to what I was doing. Okay, I'm going to view the subfields. And then the ones that we particularly want are the title, T, and the W, the record control number. So what you're going to do for each of those is you can see that it's hidden right now. I'm clicking on Edit. Under Advanced Constraints, I'm going to put checkboxes in OPAC and intranet. So that way this is visible both to our patrons in the OPAC and on the staff client through the intranet. Then I'm going to go ahead and save changes. And then I'm also going to do that to the W field. Advanced constraints, make sure it's viewable in the OPAC, the intranet, and of course you want to make sure that it's viewable in the editor too, otherwise you wouldn't be able to edit it. So anytime you're doing this with the 776s, make sure it's viewable in all three of those. So I'm going to save our changes. And when we talk about the W field, the record control number, that is the 001 from the MARC field. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and find the item that I want to go ahead and link. Okay, so here's the item that I want to go ahead and link. I can click on Edit the Records. Oops, definitely don't want the advanced editor. I am not a cataloger. Okay, so we're going to hop over. So when we say the 001, the control number, that's this one right here. You're going to want that number. And then we're going to hop over the 776s. And you can see right here, I now have the title and the record control number. So I'm going to go ahead and put the record control number for whatever book I want to link it to in here, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the title that I want in here. Now, whatever you put in for the title field, it's actually a free text field. So it could be the same title, or it could be something else. So you can kind of get creative with those and see what else you can do with them. Okay, I'm going to cancel this one, and I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's actually been done in the catalog. So we've got one set up, Dear Fahrenheit 451. Okay, and so you can see right here, additional physical formats, and Dear Fahrenheit 451 large print. So I know that's going to be go ahead and connecting to the large print format of that. So again, we're going to go ahead and pull the record just so you can see it. And jump over to the 776 field. And there you go. You can see that we've used the record control number. And then this again is the free text that I can go ahead and edit as I need to. Debbie, no, it is actually the 001 that you need to have in there. It's not the bib number, it's the 001. Okay, so that's what it looks like from the staff side. Let's go ahead and see what it looks like from the patron side. Okay, so here we have the record on the patron side, and again, you can see right here, additional physical formats, right there in blue print, so really easy to see. Can click on it. Okay. Not sure what happened there, but when you click on it, it will take you over to the other version. Let's see.
Remember, Donna, I deleted it because
That's what the bell just rang. You deleted the record.
yeah.
Okay, it really does work. It's Kelly's fault. We were curious to see what would happen. That's what it was. We were curious to see what would happen if the record had been deleted, and you do need to manually update those links. So, but it's a nice way to be able to connect those resources so that there's multiple ones together. So, okay. So you know what, let's go ahead. We have just a couple minutes. Let's go ahead and actually set one of these up. We're going to go back into here. Okay, I'm going to grab, let's see, where are we? We're in, so I'm going to grab the 001, right? Okay, so that's the audio. I'm going to come back and search for, well, I'm going to do something completely radical and drive all of the catalogers out there crazy. I'm going to connect it to a record that it doesn't belong to. So, yep. Okay, so we have a different record up here. I'm going to edit the record. There is no, 776 available in this one. So I'm going to come over to that field. and put that record control number in from the first one that we did. And then I'm going to say something like, you might also like dear Fahrenheit 451. Okay, we're going to save this. And now the indexer on our test site doesn't run as fast as yours does in real life. So it might take it a few minutes for it to go ahead and process. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. So again, you can see that there's this option to just go for the formats. You might also like dear Fahrenheit 451. We're going to click on that. And it's going to take us right over to the other record. So an unconventional usage of it, but you know, when we have that next 50 Shades of Grey that you have 400 people waiting for it, you might want to recommend some other interesting books that they could read in the meantime. I agree with Heather, my catalog, my rules. But yeah, I also I do appreciate, you know, the consistency of cataloging and those sorts of things. But this hopefully will just kind of spark some ideas for you that while it is typically used for additional physical formats, you can do it things with like electronic resources. If you have the DVD of something and then you also have the streaming version of something, you can go ahead and connect those together also. You know, and you could, you know, add it even to, you know, something else. So just kind of some neat options for that. And if you're really good, you can, you know, change the format of how this looks and things like that if you're into some of the coding. But I really do appreciate having this from the perspective of a lot of times our customers don't care whether it's a large print or a regular print, but they do want to make sure that they can go ahead and read that book. And so this is a great way for them to be able to see what else is available for that. Okay. So there is one deleted system preference. I know that there's a lot of system preferences, and so we're very happy when any of them go. We did add some, so we're not quite balanced out yet, but the OPAC show barcode system preference has been deleted. And the reason for that, if you remember, when we're going to go back over here into administration, and we're going to go down into our columns. Remember that I showed you that barcodes option is now under your configure columns. So again, when you go to OPAC, you have the option. It's hidden by default, but you can have the item barcodes showing into the OPAC. So that's kind of a nice feature to be able to have that available. One less system preference, but it's going to get you over here into this area a little bit more that you can have those resources available. Okay, so what questions do y'all have about anything that we've covered? Is there anything you want me to go back and look at again, or any additional questions about these resources? Okay. I can hear you all furiously out there typing out your questions. Actually, I'm not. Yes, this webinar will be archived and it will be made available right here on this website, which I'll go ahead and throw into the chat again. This is where we have all of the information about the webinars and the upgrade notes. So this is our schedule for what we've done. So we've already got the What's New webinar, which is basically an overview of everything, which is a great kind of, you know, just hit it in there and go. Then we also we already have one OPAC and Public Services webinar that's been recorded. This one will be posted up here shortly. I do want to point out that tomorrow we have the Circulation and Patrons webinar for the second time. We'll have the Technical Services webinar for the second time on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we will have the second Administration and Reports Upgrade webinars. Okay, and then again, any of these questions that have come up are allowed in here, or are pushed in here. So it's a really great resource to be able to take a look at it. And if you really want to know all the nitty-gritty, we obviously haven't covered everything that's happening. We just kind of pick out the big things that we think are going to impact the most folks. You can look through and see the upgrade notes of every single resource that's being changed. Okay, so Rhonda says, my cataloger always asks about the status of the Overdrive Stage 2 integration. Any new information? And no, I do not have any new information, but we can look into that and see what the status of it is, and we can post that on this page also. Kelly, do you happen to have any updates or know anything else with that?
There was a bug right after 1705 that was submitted to the community. I believe the bug will be cleared in 1711, and I don't believe it has been fully functional, as it's not something we can test for Overdrive. We have to have Overdrive authorize this kind of integration. So I can certainly find that bug out and you can go through the process. I don't have a lot of information other than that. It's, as we're dealing with another vendor, it's been difficult.
Yeah. Thanks, Kelly. So Rhonda, we'll go ahead and post that information in with the questions, and you can see what's going on with the bugs. Kathy, you know what? That's a really good point. I neglected to mention that you do need to go ahead and cross-link those, yes. So that way they can see them vice versa. If you want to, you don't necessarily have to, but it would be a good idea to go ahead and cross-link those so that if they are looking at the regular one, they can also see the large print. You can also kind of have some fun with that too, you know, depending on, again, who your patrons are and knowing your community, that perhaps you're going to link the regular print to the large print, and then you're going to cross-link the large print to the audiobooks. So perhaps your large print readers would also listen to an audiobook as opposed to reading the regular print. So you can cross-link those however you want to, but you do need to go ahead and have them in each record so that they can go back and forth to the other ones. But it is something that if you don't cross-link them, it's not going to break it. You just won't be able to see the other resources. Okay, great questions, y'all. Any other questions that are coming up? No? And yes, Kathy, you can cross-link more than one to each record. What you would want to do is we'll go back into those records. So let's see, we'll do tier. Fahrenheit again. I'm going to edit the records. Okay, and then down in the 776s. Just need to make sure that you've made them repeatable. I obviously did not make my T field repeatable, but you could go ahead and put another title and record control number in there that will go ahead and provide you the option to link multiple items. So again, just make sure that both your T and your W fields are repeatable, and that way you'd be able to create. Actually, you know what? I take that back. Yeah, see, I told you guys I'm not a cataloger. So I could go right here and type in version 2 audio. And then I'll just go ahead and copy that control number, save it. Okay, and you can see right here we have the large print, and then we have version 2 audio. So you can do it multiple times, absolutely. I can see Kathy's already thinking about ways that she's going to be using this in different resources and different ways to connect everything. But it's a little feature, but I think it's a really neat one that's going to make it a little bit easier for our patrons to find resources and for us to direct them in other places also. I mean, you can imagine with some of those that you could have you know, the patron's going to look for the print book obviously first, and you can go ahead and have multiple 776s where you can have all of those in there. You can have the large print, you can have the audio, you can have the ebook. So you can have those all contained into one spot where they can go in there and see that. So it's a neat feature that I'm unreasonably excited about. I think there's a lot of fun with that. So okay. Well, if there aren't any more questions, I'd like to thank you for your time today. We really appreciate you being interested in these upgrades, and hopefully you share the excitement that we do with all the fun stuff that's going to be happening. And we hope to see you at some of our future webinars. And don't forget, there is also Koha Con coming up in September. If you aren't familiar with it, it's an amazing conference. There's no registration fee, and it's where all sorts of Koha folks get together and do presentations. So if you're doing something interesting at your library with Koha, we're looking for proposals. And the URL, let me see if I remember it. Let's see, I know you can just Google it. KohaCon 2018. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and put it into chat. Take a look. It's Portland, Oregon, September 10th through the 12th. And if you're a hacker, we have the Hack Fest after that you can get together and hack with other folks. But it's a great opportunity to kind of talk to other folks about what they're doing with Koha. And again, if you're doing something really neat with it, we'd love for you to submit a proposal to talk about it. So, all right, hopefully we will see you all there. All of our staff will be at KohaCon 2018. And so if you ever want to really meet us in person, you'll have that opportunity. So with that, thank you for your attendance today, and we hope that we'll see you at the rest of the webinars. Take care.